Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoterica, and you know what time it is? It's the end of June, and that means we have the June MiSTer News Roundup. It's been a really fun month in MiSTer Land that's also had some really strange core drops that we'll talk about in a moment, but it's been maybe a little bit slower of a month than May, considering Saturn kind of came out then, but there are still a lot of fun things to talk about. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, hit like and subscribe, that notification bell definitely helps us out. If you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But there's been a few improvements to the PlayStation 1 core, even though it did go to public release, and in my review video I said it was a better version of a PlayStation 1. There's still a few bugs that Robert had to take time out of his schedule to iron out for the core. And if you haven't watched all of my videos, in a previous video I talked about a few games that had some polygonal stretching issues, and taking a look at Robert's Twitter here, you'll see that he did make some bug fixes for games such as Tomba 2 and most importantly Elemental Gearbolt, because I'll show you what Elemental Gearbolt used to look like. There was issues in a certain select few games where the polygons would just stretch almost off into infinity. There was just a little bit of a coding issue that needed to get ironed up. But you'll see here in the previous version that has not been fixed, this is what you used to be looking at when you played Elemental Gearbolt. It ran perfectly fine, the enemy sprites looked perfectly fine, but the actual polygons would stretch almost into the vanishing point to infinity. But if you go back over to Robert's Twitter page, you're going to see now that in something like Tomba 2, that has been 100% fixed, and Elemental Gearbolt has as well. So that's even more games with no issues on MiSTer. And there are some slight timing improvements due to the GTE. You'll see here, this is the most interesting thing to look at, but this is how the sausage gets made, for lack of a better term. They all match, and there's been a couple improvements to things like multi-tap emulation, direct video, and the like. So an already amazing core just got even cooler, like Gex here wearing a tuxedo without any pants on. But over on the arcade side, we now have Guwange as well on the MiSTer arcade cores, and that is awesome. I previewed it last month, and now it is here, and you can download it and check it out and play it. It's another cave shmup, but honestly, your character walks on the ground, it's almost like a run and gun. Of course it is just a shmup, just wanted to argue semantics there, but it's great to have another cave core on MiSTer. I can't advocate for these games enough. I absolutely love all of Cave's output. They're a ton of fun, and Guwange has a certain graphical style that I just absolutely love. It is so nice to look at, and it's previously to when Cave got a little bit weird with their art, if you know what I mean. But it's one more awesome shmup on MiSTer, and there are still other games in development per his GitHub page from this Cave board. But if you've never played Guwange before and you have a MiSTer and you're not playing it, well, maybe finish this video first, but definitely go and check it out. And that is in addition to Dungaron Feveron. I think I said that right. It's such a hard name to say. It's just so many great games on this board. You have puzzle games, you have shmups, Dodonpachi's on here. You definitely have to check them all out because I absolutely love all these games. And let me tell you, they're not cheap to buy. Something like this game right here, Espredi. It's so hard to pronounce these games. It's just amazing to have them on MiSTer. And like I said, even though this is a PGM cart, play them on MiSTer because Cave PCBs cost thousands. Now moving over to the weirder end of MiSTer news in June, the Watara Supervision core is here. Now what is the Watara Supervision? You're probably asking yourself. Well, it is a knockoff cheap Game Boy from Asia. It's not bad. I mean, there's some fun games to play on it, but how many of you in the comments below can tell me you own a Supervision? I'll tell you right now, I certainly do not, nor do I ever plan on buying one. But now we get to experience these really weird, really strange games on MiSTer without having to open up our wallets or deal with old hardware, and the screens on these units are notorious for being terrible. But you'll see here, at least graphically, it's got a little bit of something going on, and this is a really deep cut core, but it's amazing to have it, and that's what's great about MiSTer. It's not just Neo Geo and Super Nintendo and PC Engine, it's also stuff like the Supervision, but it's got some decent chip tunes as well, so go ahead and listen for like 30 seconds, and I'll come back and tell you more about what's going on in June. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't sound very good, and sorry to make you listen to that, but I wanted to get you a sense of what the Watara Supervision sounded like. But moving on to 32X ever so briefly, there have been some more fixes to the core, and now you can play and basically complete something like Knuckles Chaotix here. I don't know if you really want to, it's not the best game in the series, but games have been improved and compatibility has improved on the 32X side, and I know so many people wanted to be able to get further in Knuckles Chaotix, and now with the improvements, if you update your MiSTer, you're going to have those. Now again, it's a big handheld month this month, and I have changed the music underneath the Game & Watch because the blips from the speaker just hurt my ears. That's the theme this month, ear hurting 8-bit chiptune sound effects. But this is awesome to have. I am not a Game & Watch collector. I know some people really are, but if you're not a collector and you've wanted to play Game & Watch, now you can play it in the comfort of your living room on your own TV, and I love these colorful backgrounds. Obviously, the Game & Watch was nothing more than a rudimentary Tiger handheld electronic device before those were popular, but honestly, it's never going to look as good as you see it on MiSTer right here. So if you're into Game & Watch, you want to play something from Nintendo's extremely early era before something like the NES even existed, Game & Watch is now on MiSTer and you can check it out. And like I said, weird month. Another handheld, the Gamate, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, was also added to MiSTer. And this is very similar to the Supervision, and it's also kind of like a knockoff Game Boy. This one's coming out of Taiwan, but it's another fun and random and weird thing to play on MiSTer, because not every single core that's going to come out is going to be the Saturn or the PlayStation 1. But that's the great thing about MiSTer, is you're going to get a lot of esoteric platforms running on it. If you know anything about this channel, you know I love the esoteric, and it seems like the Gamate or the Gamate, again, if you know how to pronounce it, leave me a comment down below, has some okay games. Now I'm glad I removed the soundtrack from this here because it basically sounds like nails on a chalkboard, but one of the really interesting games that I was checking out feels kind of like an amalgam of a platformer and also Castlevania 2 on the NES, and you'll see very shortly what I mean. But there seems to be some relatively decent things to check out on the Gamate, and I'm 100% going to be checking out some of these games, and maybe I'll make a full video for it. I'm kind of assuming I won't though, just based upon my lack of interest in it, but maybe I'll find something. But you'll see there, very similar to Castlevania 2. And again, you gotta hear the chiptune, so listen for 20 seconds and I'll come back and finish out the episode because there is more fun. Yeah, and it beeps and it boops and it bops and it's the sound alright. Now on to the stock of the actual Terasic DE10 Nano board. I've heard a lot of reports from viewers of the channel that contacting Terasic, they're able to get these. Shipping might be a little bit high, but they're available, and the estimated ship date on Terasic's website is July 15th, and obviously if you're watching this video you know that is soon. Because something like DigiKey, my go-to for pretty much all electronic parts, they have 0 of these in stock, and their lead time basically says they don't know, it's unavailable. So honestly, go to Terasic if you need one. But now on the random shoutout section, and I promised him I'd do it. He's your uncle, he's my uncle, he's everybody's best uncle that maybe drinks too much, or at least that's how I imagine him, and it is Trash Uncle. I was chatting with him and he was saying that he wanted to get to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours so he can monetize his channel and get some juice behind him. And I've already been subscribed, I had to unsubscribe to do this, but go to his site, subscribe to him, and give him a watch. If you've been using any filters on MiSTer whatsoever, you've been using Trash Uncle's work. He does a bang-up job, and he needs to get more credit on his channel for the amazing amount of work that he puts into MiSTer. So trust me, link below, go give him some love and give him a sub, at least if nothing else for me. But yeah, that's the June MiSTer update. Some PlayStation 1 enhancements, some 32X enhancements, some cave cores, and then a bunch of handhelds, Game & Watch, the Gamate, and the Watara Supervision. And that's what I mean when I said it was a weird month. Nothing wrong with those cores, it was just a lot of handhelds and a lot of obscurity. Short of that, I'll have another video on MiSTer next Thursday. I'll have videos for the week as well. But yeah, that's the end of June news, and tomorrow is July 1st. See you next time. Bye-bye.